Colorado going into 2024, I believe a lot of the Deion Sanders haters out there are about to be in for massive disappointment this season, because there's no way that Colorado is going to win anything less than 7 games. And the over-under win total came out not too long ago for every team this upcoming college football season. And Vegas has Colorado at an over-under win total of 6 wins, which is a huge leap from what they were expected to win last year, which was only 3.5. And for the people that think that Deion Sanders and Colorado aren't going to have any success in his second season in a weaker conference, I really believe that you're just a flat-out hater and you just don't want to give credit to where credit is due. Colorado has done a great job in the transfer portal at improving the offensive line, getting better on the defensive line. All of their biggest weaknesses that they had last year are mostly going to be fixed going into next season. Well, what about the cornerback play? A lot of the guys that they got from the transfer portal and that massive transfer portal rebuild that Deion did when he first got there are still on the team, and they could get better with good coaching. And I believe that Deion Sanders is a good coach. It's just that there were some things that he had to learn. There are some things that he's going to have to fix and improve and change. He's going to have to hire better coordinators, offense and defense. But for the most part, I still believe that what he did year one for Colorado was a huge accomplishment. The only reason I don't give him a A+ or B+ grade for how his first season in Colorado went, and why I give him a C, is because I feel like he did a bad job at managing the hype. He did a bad job at keeping all the players in his locker room level-headed. This season, I definitely believe that you're going to see a team that's going to be more focused. They're not going to let the limelight get to them. They're not going to let a little bit of success get to them. And when you look at Colorado's roster in the Big 12 compared to the other teams that are in the Big 12 right now, there's not a big gap. As a matter of fact, I probably would go on a limb and say that Colorado probably is going to be the third most talented team walking into kicking off the 2024 college football season, only behind Kansas State and Utah. That's about it. Kansas is losing a lot of veterans from last year's team. They got Jalen Daniels coming back, but they're not going to have a lot of experience. UCF, Arizona just lost their head coach. Like UCF, like they have a lot of hype around them right now. And they just got KJ Jefferson out of the transfer portal, but they got a lot of holes that they got to fix. You know, like there are so many teams in the Big 12 that are the equivalent to what Colorado is right now. You don't really know how it's going to look. But what I do know is that there aren't too many teams in the Big 12 that have a proven quarterback, and nobody has a quarterback remotely as good as what Shedeur Sanders is. And when you have Shedeur Sanders in a conference like the Big 12, you should win the majority of your games just based on that. Consistent quarterback play is key to winning in college football. And now they're going to be able to protect Shedeur Sanders this season. Not only do you get some really good transfers on the offensive line out of the portal, but you got Jordan Seaton, the best offensive tackle from this past recruiting class. So this is an offensive line that's going to be massively overhauled, massively revamped. You're going to have some more talent coming in at wide receiver. They just got LaJohntay Wester. I don't know if many of you guys know who LaJohntay Western is, but he played for the school that I currently go to, Florida Atlantic University, and he was one of the best receivers in college football statistically. He was putting up monstrous numbers, and Tom Herman, I assure you, didn't want to lose LaJohntay. LaJohntay going to Colorado is one of the biggest pickups that Colorado got in the transfer portal. And then what about Kamani McLean? What if Kamani McLean develops and he ends up living up to the high expectations that was bestowed upon him when he was the number 1 ranked cornerback coming out of last year's recruiting cycle? There's so much talent on Colorado's roster that gets overlooked because of the Deion Sanders hate train. I don't get why so many people have so much hatred towards Deion Sanders and Colorado football. Like, why would you not root for a team like Colorado that hasn't had success in damn near 2 decades to succeed? Like, why is everybody so fixated on Deion Sanders and Colorado football failing? People act like this is fucking Alabama or Georgia football, and they've been dominating college football for years on top of years. Like, you think that more people will pull for Colorado to win. But I get it. You know, Deion Sanders' confidence affects your insecurity. I understand that. And I understand that when Deion Sanders was a player, there were many people who were rubbed the wrong way about his approach to, you know, his game and some of the antics that he had. But Deion Sanders is a great human being, a great coach. The players love him. There aren't too many players that have transferred out of Colorado. And I don't think that anybody on that team last year was jealous of Shedeur Sanders and they were setting him up to get okie doke. Nobody was going to set Shedeur Sanders up to get injured. It looks bad on film. It looks bad if you're trying to make it to the NFL, or if you do want to transfer to another team. Who the hell is going to pick you up if you play badly and you purposely let the quarterback get hurt? You see, Colorado, I expect them to be an 8-9 win team this season. The gap between them and the rest of the Big 12 is not big at all. As a matter of fact, I think it's an even playing field, the conference that they're walking into. The Pac-12 just so happened that when Deion Sanders got to Colorado, had their best season in Pac-12 history. There hasn't been a single year that I can recall the Pac-12 being as deep and as talented as what it was in its final season. You had Oregon, Washington, who are two top 5 teams. Damn near could have both made it into the playoffs if it got expanded to 12 teams, right? You had Oregon State, who was really good. You had UCLA, who was pretty solid. Yeah, they had a couple of scary losses, you know, that shouldn't have happened. But what about Arizona? Arizona just won the Alamo Bowl. There were so many great teams in the Pac-12 last year that for a team like Colorado and a coach like Deion Sanders to be able to have a winning record with having to rebuild their team through the transfer portal, it was going to be hard for them to do that. And the Big 12, which is a big step down in talent and competition level compared to the level that the Pac-12 was on last season, like, I don't think many people realize that the Pac-12 was debatably the toughest conference in college football. Yeah, we want to give it to the SEC because the SEC is always so deep and we can use the whole, well, we do the Pac-12 versus SEC head-to-head, who will win. I get that. But if you don't want to say that they were arguably the best conference, I definitely would say they were the second best conference ahead of the Big Ten. The Big Ten only had 3 good teams last season: Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. So Colorado, Deion Sanders walked into an avalanche with how difficult the Pac-12 conference was. It was more difficult than what people initially thought. Going to the Big 12, having a year of experience under his belt, being a Power 5 head coach, Deion Sanders knows what he needs to do and what needs to change. He already has said countless times in every interview that he's done this offseason that they're going to run the football more. They understand that. They understand that the defense needs to play better. Deion Sanders is one of those people that he's not okay with complacency. He's not okay with mediocrity. He wants to win. He's not one of those people that's going to continue to do the same thing that produces bad results. Colorado, if you're a hater of this football program or you're a hater of Deion Sanders, you're about to be really upset with how good this team is going to look in 2024 this season. Shedeur Sanders is going to be potentially the first pick of the 2025 NFL draft, and I'm pretty sure Deion Sanders wants to do everything he can to make sure that he can protect his son's draft status and his playing career, because you can't allow this dude to be getting hit as many times as what he did last season. They've put way too much investment into the offensive line for it not to be improved this season. And let's not even talk about the guys that they got from the transfer portal. Let's talk about the guys that they still have from last year's team that could develop and could get better. Part of having a good offensive line is chemistry. It's not all about talent. You just weren't going to be able to randomly assemble an offensive line from the transfer portal and it just magically be good. When you look at the majority of teams in college football that have great offensive lines, they have a lot of veterans on the offensive line that have played multiple games with each other. Colorado, their offensive line is going to be improved, but I don't know if it's going to be elite. But I do think it'll be good enough for them to have way more success in a conference that doesn't play a lot of great defense and isn't really that great up front. There were tons of Pac-12 teams that had way more talent than what Colorado had in the trenches. Big 12, not the same story. We know what the Big 12 is. It's the conference of all offense and zero defense. Now, they played a lot more defense now than what they've done in previous years, but still, the only teams that you can say are going to have a good defense in this conference are going to be Utah and Kansas State. And those two teams so happen to be the two favorites to be on top of the conference. Like, Arizona has a new head coach. Like, they lost Jedd Fisch. I don't know how good of a head coach that dude from San Jose State is going to be. Colorado, to me, they're an easy pick to finish in second or third place in the Big 12 to me, just off the fact that they got a better team that's still as good as what the rest of the conference is, but they have the quarterback advantage. And when you got the quarterback advantage, there's not a single game that you shouldn't be able to win. Colorado winning more than 6 games to me is easy money. I told you guys last year, take Colorado to win over 3.5 games. And I'm not a professional gambler. I'm not a financial advisor, but all I'm telling you is that if you're looking for some free bread and you're looking for some easy money in your pockets, take Colorado over 6 wins next year. It's going to happen. They just have way too much talent for them to be a 6, maybe 7-win team. This team has the possibility to win the Big 12. Like, yeah, that's how good Colorado's going to be this year. And the rest of the conference isn't that great. Like, there's not a big gap in talent between Colorado and everybody else. The only team that has the biggest talent advantage over Colorado is Utah. That's it. So Colorado is going to exceed expectations once again because the haters just can't stop drinking enough of that haterade. Put that haterade down. It's not good for your lungs. It's affecting your judgment and it's clouding your vision. The Buffs are still coming, people. Deion is still coming. And in a couple of more months, we're not going to say Colorado's still coming. Colorado's actually going to be here.